Hey, Engraver here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to some more sound experimentation in SuperCollider and also in Logic Pro. Today we're going to be exploring MIDI playback, and how to output multiple MIDI instruments in an environment, and even better, how to record or play back along with these instruments with your own instrument, violin, voice, as it is the case with me. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. I will evaluate these lines of our MIDI setup here. And if you wanted to explore this a little bit more deeply, I highly recommend checking out Eli Field-Steele's tutorial on MIDI. But basically what this does is tell SuperCollider to send MIDI messages to Logic's playback protocol. Now here, I have 3 instruments for my drum kit. And I also have an instrument for my bass, and I'll go ahead and explain what these values are. With this note on method, I am sending any message to the first channel. This is our MIDI note, 53. In this case, this will be kick. And this is our velocity value. 64 is sitting right in the middle between 0 and 127, so kind of mezzo forte. Right between the cool colors and the very hot colors. And we have channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3. So 4 channels to be routed. But before I evaluate any of these, let's go ahead and see what is happening in Logic Pro. You can see we've got our 4 channels. Channel 1, 2, 3, and 4 for my kick, ride, crash, and bass. Now, one thing to note in this score, in this project, my first 3 tracks are the same instrument, this epic electro instrument that is Ultra Beat here. So you will hear similarities between the instruments, but they are meant to be separate channels. And then we have our bass. Now you may have noticed this window here. This is our MIDI environment window, which you can pull up, going to Window, open MIDI environment, and shortcut Command 0. I just get into the habit of using the shortcuts as much as I can. Now the important thing with this MIDI environment window is how everything is assigned. So we do have our 4 instruments here. Kick is assigned to instrument number 1, and also MIDI channel number 1. Ride is instrument 2, MIDI channel number 2. And our crash is instrument 3 for MIDI channel 3. And bass is instrument 4 for MIDI channel 4. Now, Logic goes from 1 to whatever number, however many channels that you have. 1, 2, 3, 4. We do have to remember with SuperCollider that SuperCollider starts at the 0th value of the array. So the first value of the array is 0. Now that that is taken care of, let's go ahead and evaluate these instruments. So we've got our kick. I'm going to go ahead and evaluate this just in case there's any stuck information out there. This doesn't really happen with instruments that have a short attack and release, more sustaining instruments, but it's always nice to be clean about it. We've got our ride there, our crash there. All right, well, that obviously does not sound like a bass. We need something different. And let me just go ahead and evaluate this. I couldn't remember if I had released that. So this channel 3 here, that's not sounding like a nice bass synth. I do have my bass synth. It's right here. And if I have it highlighted here, we will have our instrument. That's our bass that we want. And you can hear it sustaining, so I'll just go ahead and command that to turn off. But then we have something happening, and I think you might already be knowing what's happening. It's really whatever the track is. So we've got to be a little clever with how we are routing our instrument. So the first thing we need to do is set up a channel splitter. And it's all the way over here. I'm going to drag it over. And it might be a little hard to see. It's not going to get any bigger, but the top arrow here is the sum, and the arrow right underneath begins channel 1. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that to our kick. And channel 2 for our ride. Channel 3 here for our crash. And channel 4 for our bass. So let's see if we can hear the difference. Sounding good? Still nothing. We need to add something more. And that is our physical input, which for me in my setup is the Oxygen 49 MIDI controller. And this is my appropriate driver here, the IAC driver. We've got this output here, sum. I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the sum here. So you can see a little bit of the connection there. And we will go ahead and try it again. Did you hear a different kind of instrument? That is for my modified track 2. This one right here. Crash is the same. And then, voila, we are connected. Let's go ahead and tidy up any pending latency issues. And this bit of code here is really handy. With our note off method, this will help command releasing stuck notes. You know, with Logic Pro, sometimes with recording or playback, some MIDI data can be stuck. And I would like to set the tempo clock to 140 beats per minute. And here's my score. I've got a bit of kick, and my ride, my perk, or in this case, my crash, and my bass. Let's see how this sounds. So we've got our 3 channels going. Crash is coming just about now. Really simple. I don't have much to this score, just setting it up for this demo. And there you go. So now you can see that we've got instruments playing in their respective outputs. You can hear every instrument, including the bass. And if you set up a comprehensive score, you can have some really great, interesting MIDI instruments for some background music while you are playing violin, for instance, or singing. And so I think that can work really well. Now, what if I wanted to record? Let's go ahead and try that again. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little messy there. But you can see it is recording. Or is it? Well, it's not recording, because if we saw the recording, we would be seeing MIDI data by now. Now, let's go ahead and get rid of this physical input, because there is a way to record. We take this out, and again, that has everything routing to this channel or this channel or this channel, whichever channel is highlighted. And it's not convenient, but there's a way to circumvent that. But the point is, how can we get this to record? Let's go ahead and evaluate this one more time. So you're not hearing an actual bass synth. You're hearing kind of the bass line move up. All right, so we do have MIDI data. And what's more, the MIDI data is following the line. This is indeed our bass line. It's just with the respective percussion instruments for this track. But really, if you want it recorded, you want to hear every instrument as they should be. You know, in this case, our bass synth is not there. There's a better way to go about this. Let's try it. We will get rid of this. And now we will add a new feature. We will add our monitor here. This is a Midi monitor. And this will go directly into the channel splitter to the sum. And more than that, we are going to have it be an actual channel to refer to. Not sure why this connects, but we'll just drag our monitor all the way up. And this track will be the track to listen to our MIDI data information. Let's go ahead and try this one more time. So it has a bit of a late start, as you heard, but the instruments are there. If this monitor, or anything you want to call it, is highlighted, we should be good. And here's the best part, we can record. Now you won't see it until after the playback, but it will be there. And there we go. Now let's go ahead and get into the MIDI data. We'll go ahead and make sure it's all good and quantized. Drag this, make sure it's quantized to the 16th value. That looks pretty nice. Let's listen to it. Okay, so it's not quite lined up. I think it starts here actually. There it is. There it is. Let's go ahead and clear some of this. And just move that over. And there is our recorded track. And of course you can just add it and so on. And that is the way to record and also hear the multiple instruments in their respective outputs. You do have to do extra work for the album making process, of course selecting the bass line here, for instance. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this MIDI window for now. Oh, we've got two, or probably more. Oh, there's SuperCollider. Okay. So we've got that, and then what I would simply do is, after my recording process, clean it up, and then select, the bass here, and select it right here. And there's my bass line. So yeah, there's a few extra steps after the recording process, but at least you can record it in real time and hear the respective instruments. All right, we'll go ahead and stop the tempo clock. And that's everything. So I would like to start building more comprehensive scores with this kind of MIDI protocol setup and get some dynamic MIDI instruments going with SuperCollider. So thank you always for watching and listening. Always be on the lookout for some more sound experimentation every Thursdays, and look out for some commentary throughout the week, maybe Saturday, maybe Monday. And until I see you next, keep producing the art you love, and I'll catch you later. Thanks again.